Hi, I'm Bill Bradley. Join me for a recent excerpt of American Voices. If you have a dream, something you'd like to accomplish or pursue, but you think it's too late, or that you don't have the background, well, you need to meet my next guest, Muriel Horacek. Growing up, Muriel didn't have a strong interest in animals, but now, at 99 years young, she's a docent at the Los Angeles Zoo. When she was 67, she went on her first trip with the organization Earthwatch to help scientists do field work. She's since been on 35 trips with Earthwatch. She traveled to China to help scientists monitor monkeys, Peru to help with hummingbirds, and Australia to help with research on honey possums. Muriel Horacek is here with me now to tell us about her adventures and her volunteer work at the Los Angeles Zoo. Muriel, welcome to American Voices.
Thank you, Senator. I'm very happy to be with you.
So tell me about your childhood. Tell us about where you grew up and how you lived your life.
I grew up in Long Island with my mother and my brother. My brother was retarded and had to go to special school. They didn't have any special ed back then, and my mother had to pay it for a private school. And as a widow, that was difficult. I was in high school during when Pearl Harbor happened, and I became a switchboard operator. We lived near Mitchell Field, which was a big airfield on Long Island. And so I became a volunteer switchboard operator when I was a senior in high school. And I remember during blackouts, I had to be on duty there at night and riding my bike home at midnight in the complete dark. Those are things that I remember during the high school.
So you were making your commitment to the war effort at the same time?
Yes.
Well, you sound in really great shape.
Well, I tried to. Up until I was 90, I was jogging a mile or two every morning, but no more. I use a walker. I'm grateful I have never fallen, but I take care of myself.
Yeah, well, be careful because you're too valuable.
Thank you, sir.
We want to keep you there, keep you inspiring people.
Yes.
There's more of my conversation with Muriel Horacek, plus author Samuel Ashworth.
Learning how to be that way set me up for a career as an artist in a way almost nothing else could have.
That's coming up next. You're listening to American Voices. I'm Bill Bradley. Stay with us. I'm Bill Bradley. We're back now on American Voices. We're continuing my conversation with Muriel Horacek. At 99 years young, she volunteers at the Los Angeles Zoo, where she's a docent. We're talking about her love of animals and her curiosity for life. So Muriel, well, your aunt helped raise you. Can you tell us about her?
That's right. When my father died, my mother's sister, my aunt, came to live with us and helped support us. She liked to travel a lot, but the rest of us didn't have money to travel. So I always liked to hear about all her trips that she took. She was a clerk, but she saved her money and she liked to travel wherever she could.
When did you start becoming interested in traveling the world and helping scientists conduct research?
When I was, right after I was married, my husband was transferred overseas. And we lived in South America, North Africa, and Europe for 17 years. That was where I was really into traveling. I could never travel before that, but I loved to travel. And my children were all born overseas. Two of them were born in Aruba, the island off the coast of Venezuela, and the other two were born in Benghazi, Libya. And so none of them were born in the United States. And they all enjoyed traveling also. So that after my husband died, that's when I started doing Earthwatch expeditions on my own, going off with the animals. The reason I did the Earthwatch is my husband and I did most of our hiking trips. We did a lot of hut-to-hut hiking in New Zealand and Australia. We walked a lot. When we went to England, we went to northern England and walked across from the North Sea to the Irish Sea. We went up to Scotland and the Isle of Mull. We did hiking. And so when he passed away 35 years ago, I started doing Earthwatch because that's quite a bit of hiking. It's tracking animals, monitoring behavior of animals.
Well, was it difficult to help scientists without having a science background?
No, on the first day, these are just 2-week trips. On the first day, they give us the instructions, and then we're off on our own. Some of it is roughing it. When I went to China doing the monkey expedition, I camped out in the cave for 2 weeks. Each day
really? What was that like?
Well, I brought my sleeping bag and I got used to it. And I had to climb up over rocks to get into the cave. And you sign up for whatever expedition you're comfortable with. And I was comfortable in any kind of camping out.
What were your favorite trips with Earthwatch, and what did you learn?
One of the favorite ones was with doing the leatherback turtles. Those are the huge turtles. They come in to nest only at night. I did the expedition 3 times, twice in the Caribbean, on the island of Trinidad, and also in St. Croix in the Virgin Islands. Then also I did it in the Pacific side of Costa Rica. There especially, we were really helped to preserve the leatherbacks. I'll tell you why. We put an ID on the leatherback turtles so we know if they're coming in several times. The scientists we were working for, these are all professors, the scientists are. The professor was telling the government, don't let poachers on the beach. We have fewer and fewer turtles every year. And the government of Costa Rica said, oh, we have 1,000 turtles coming in every season. Well, when we put the ID on, we found out that each female comes in every other year. But the year she comes in 7 or 8 times to nest. So that means there were actually fewer than 200 turtles. So then the government agreed to ban poachers from the beach during the nesting season. So that made a big difference. We also helped put on IDs on the back to track where they were going after they left the beach. And they thought the Costa Rican turtles went north because they knew in California that leatherbacks feed off the coast of Monterey. But we found out when we put the radio tracking device on their back, all of the Costa Rican turtles went south off the coast of Ecuador. So then when they encouraged countries all over the world that have nesting leatherbacks to put the tracking device on, we found out the ones fleeing off Monterey came from Indonesia.
Oh, my goodness, all the way across the Pacific.
That's right. And also then they found out that the ones from the Caribbean went north off the coast of Canada, then off the coast of England, down off the coast of Africa, and 2 years later came back and nested again in the same place, in Trinidad or in St. Croix.
Is that amazing? Amazing.
And also, when I first went to Costa Rica, I asked, how come the nesting season in Costa Rica is different than nesting season in the Caribbean? At that point, they said, we don't know, maybe it's the rainy season. But by putting these radio tracking devices on them, they realized that since the ones in the Caribbean go north, they're nesting in the northern hemisphere nesting season. The ones from Costa Rica went south. They're nesting in the southern hemisphere nesting season.
So the turtles traveled more than you did.
Oh, they sure do.
So how do you think the experience with Earthwatch affected the trajectory of your life?
It gave me great joy. It gave me a purpose in my life. And that's why when I couldn't go anymore, I was older and I couldn't participate in those, I became a docent at the zoo.
So you're now a docent at the Los Angeles Zoo. What exactly do you do at the zoo as a docent?
At first, I did what all docents do, is give tours to school children. But in the past few years, I can't be walking all around the zoo quickly with the school group. So I just stay in the Australia area and I tell people about the koalas and the echidnas. And the echidna is the most unusual animal in the zoo because it's an animal from the dinosaur age. And very few people know what when they see it, they think it's a porcupine because that's what it looks like, but it's not related to a porcupine. So I have great pleasure in telling people about this animal because if I'm not there, they just assume it's a porcupine and don't realize what an unusual animal it is.
Well, I've never heard of it, that's for sure. But then I'm like a lot of other people. What would you tell me about it?
Well, it's a mammal that lays eggs. There are only two mammals in the world that lay eggs, the platypus and the echidna. The echidna lays an egg by curling herself in a ball and laying an egg on her stomach. And a fold of skin goes over it like a pouch to keep it there while it's walking around. But after the egg hatches and leaves, there's no pouch. That's one odd thing about it. It's not a permanent pouch like a kangaroo. And after 5 weeks in the pouch, the baby, it's called a puggle. The puggle starts growing spines. It's like a porcupine. And those spines hurt the mother in the pouch. She takes it out. She puts the baby in a hole in the ground. From now on, she feeds that baby once a week.
Amazing. Amazing. I guess this is why people say, I think we've all witnessed why people say you're the best person at the zoo.
Oh, I think I have the most unusual animal to talk about. That's why.
When someone comes up to you at the zoo, what do you say to them? How do you start?
I usually approach people because they don't know the story I have. They don't ask me. They don't realize the echidna is an unusual animal. So I'm approaching people all the time. That's one of the reasons I like being at the zoo. I can't travel internationally anymore, but I see people of all ages, all races, all nationalities. That it solves my desire to do international travel because I see the people there and I can talk to from all over. And that gives me great pleasure.
How do you start the conversation?
I ask them if they've been there to the zoo before, because if they have, they might have known something about the animal. And they say no, I ask them where they're from. And then I tell them that this is an animal from the dinosaur age. Would you like to know more about it? And then I can't stand there because I'm at the zoo for 5 or 6 hours. I have a little table and chair, and they come over. I bring them over to the table and chair, and I have a plush animal, a plush echidna, and I explain about how it curls itself in a ball and lays an egg into the pouch and so forth. And then I show them a spine that I brought back from Australia. When I was working in Australia, I once found a dead animal, and I brought it back to the research station. And the scientists asked me to separate the bones from the spines. I decided I wanted to know how many spines were on that, so I counted them, and I stopped counting at 1,600.
What?
And then I brought some back, and I'd show people, and I let them feel it. And so they really get into it, and they're interested in that. And then they stay and listen to my whole story.
What a great idea of getting people's interest. Unbelievable. So what do you tell people about koalas? They have always been in a deep interest of mine.
They're sleeping most of the time, night and day. They only wake up to eat a few leaves. The only thing they eat, are eucalyptus leaves. There are 600 kinds of eucalyptus trees in the world, and the koalas are sitting in the eucalyptus trees at the zoo, but they don't like any of the eucalyptus trees that the zoo has. The keepers have to go outside each day and find the trees that they like. Each koala likes 2 or 3 types of eucalyptus out of the 600. The keepers get the leaves and put them in vases. And also, that's all they eat. I tell the children, we eat leaves, we eat spinach, but I wouldn't like to eat spinach for breakfast, lunch, and dinner the rest of my life.
And that's what they do?
That's what they eat, eucalyptus leaves, the rest of their life. That's all they eat. They don't even drink water. They get moisture from the leaves.
I must say, Muriel, you inspire our listeners. Your spirit, your sense of adventure. So I'm curious, what or who inspires you?
I'm just full of joy that I'm able to do this. At my stage of life, my purpose is to give pleasure to somebody. Every morning when I get up, I pray that I can give pleasure to somebody that day. And when I go to the zoo, sometimes I'm tired when I get up and I wonder if I should go that day. I always come home full of joy that I've met so many people that thank me for telling them about these animals. That gives me joy. That inspires me. And I'm really very grateful that I can do this.
I bet they're thankful for meeting you, too.
Yes, and a lot of children come up to me and give me a hug after I tell them all about the animals. And I also give a small picture of the echidna to all the children that want it, and a lot of the adults want it too. In fact, some of the men have come up to me years later and said, "Look, the picture is still in my wallet. I still remember about the echidna."
Well, Muriel, you're going to have a big birthday next year. You're going to be turning 100. What are you going to do on your birthday? What kind of party you want?
Well, my granddaughter is getting married the day before, so the family will be all together for the next day will be my birthday.
Oh, fantastic. I bet they selected that date just so that could happen.
They might have, I'm not sure.
Listen, Muriel, thanks so much for being here on American Voices. The visitors at Los Angeles Zoo are lucky to have you there to teach them, that's for sure. I've been speaking with Muriel Horacek. At 99 years young, she's a docent at the Los Angeles Zoo. To find out more, visit us on Facebook. Our Facebook page is American Voices with Senator Bill Bradley. And now we're on Instagram, and I hope you'll check us out there too. Our Instagram page is Bill Bradley on Sirius XM. Write me your thoughts or anything you've heard today and follow us. Muriel, thanks so much.
Thank you, Senator.
Whoa, if I could talk to the animals, just imagine it, chatting with a chimp and chimpanzee. Imagine talking to a tiger, chatting with a cheetah. What a neat achievement it would be.
Thank you for listening to American Voices here on my YouTube channel. For more interviews celebrating the goodness and creativity of the American people, click the subscribe button below.